All right, Ultimate Hoops Nation. My name is Reid Nelson. This is Izzy and Reid. This is This Week in Rec. Quick announcement. The national tournament registration opens Sunday night at midnight. The stroke of February 1st.
Earlier. Why doesn't it open it up? It's ready.
It'll open up on February 1st. It's same as always. It's a $100 deposit for your team. We'll be taking the first 16 teams. The national tournament May 14th and 15th at the Green Valley Lifetime Athletic in Las Vegas, Nevada. Will you have a squad at this year's tournament?
Yes.
Better register soon, sir. Okay, let's get right to it. Let's talk about last night. I want to talk about the footballers. Okay. I watched them play their first game, and I wasn't impressed. I was impressed with their athletic ability because they're all very athletic. But they're not basketball players. They play in the NFL, not the NBA. But since then, they beat the Muskies, and they beat the Shockers last night. Is this a team we need to take seriously?
It's definitely a team that we need to figure out. I think I don't know if the Muskies or the Shockers played a zone. Do you know?
I don't know. I could look at the security cam footage and find out. I'll do that tomorrow.
Do that tomorrow. It's very important. But I'd be interested to see how they do against the zone. Obviously, they're very athletic. They get second chance points. It's hard to really – there's not enough defenders to put on a bunch of 4 or 5 athletic freaks, right? There's not enough. So you're going to have to figure out how to play like a really good zone, or I would probably say zone and then just box out, find a body and box out. Because they've really figured out how to play with one another, and they're getting the right guys the right touches.
Who on that team is the least athletic Viking? I know it's kind of a tough question to answer, but you got Asiata, you've got Sherrills, you've got Charles Johnson. Who's the least athletic? Because I have a part of it.
Asiata is probably the least athletic, like in terms of like speed and jumping. But
okay.
It's probably Blanton or Asiata.
So, but are they still more athletic than any other player in the league?
No, because there's super athletic players in this league. They just don't have 5 of them on the same team. Like look at what's his nuts from used to be on the Miller time. Guy's a freak. Was Austin Brown, freak. There's guys that are as athletic as Asiata and Blanton. Probably not Charles Johnson or Sherrills or Josh Robinson, but the rest can pretty much get there, or a lot of guys can get there with Blanton and Asiata.
This team, I tried to load their schedule. I didn't get a chance. I know they play the Gorillas, but I think their schedule is relatively easy.
Okay.
How many wins does this team end up with?
I'm going to say 5-3.
Okay, and that will be good enough for.
I'd say they're going to be in between a 9 and a 12 seed.
Very nice, very nice. Rebels lose opening night to Squires. They lose last week to the Red Devils. Now, I didn't see that game, and we didn't have our show last week, but I don't know. Are the Rebels not the Rebels anymore?
No, this happens all the time. Teams win championships, and they get bored. So they're probably just going to coast and then turn on the playoffs. Seen it happen before.
But it's difficult to do that.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to. The start that they've had, it's going to be very difficult for them to repeat. It's really hard to. You have to have that momentum almost all season. You can't just turn on last week and then go through the playoffs.
Green Arrow undefeated. They win by forfeit over the 12 o'clock boys. They beat the Scorpions. They beat the Monstars, who we thought were maybe going to be great, and then it really wasn't because of their week 2 win, the Monstars. And then they beat the Supersonics tonight. They're 4-0, and they scored, what did you say, 115 points?
105 points. And everything they threw up went in. Stevens banked 2 threes in and apologized. Sorry. Everything went in. Lerdahl, I think, went 4 for 5. Eric Maher went 1 for 2, I believe. Chris is Chris, whatever. We'll leave him alone.
I do want to talk about Chris a little bit later.
I think Sam Rosebear was 6 for 11. So they're all feeling it. Maybe even 7 for 13, something crazy. They probably shot 65% from deep.
So they're not going to get to play the Scorpions every week. They do have a couple of tougher games coming up. I'm not exactly sure who, but We're not looking at a potentially undefeated team, are we?
No. They play Fob left. They got Fob left. I know that for sure.
I think they play the Free Ballers as well.
Yeah, they're going to lose one of those two games, probably both. They're going to be underdogs in both games.
Okay, I want to talk about the Barracudas because we rarely do. Now they beat. No, we don't. Tonight they beat the Magic Johnsons. Yeah, have the Magic Johnsons won a game yet?
No, I don't think so.
So I have something to admit. I didn't understand their team name until just a couple weeks ago when I sat down and I thought about it. I was like, oh gosh.
I don't get it either, Magic. I don't get it.
Johnson?
I get the Johnsons.
Yeah, the Magic Johnsons. Much like the Shockers. It's very sexual, and I don't understand what everybody's obsession is with sexual names. You should see some of the names across the country. I mean, it's like these people. It's like if you win a banner, you realize we're not putting that on a banner in a Lifetime Fitness anywhere. Trouser Snakes. There's a team called the Trouser Snakes in Austin. What is the deal with that?
What was it? The
Scoregasms?
No, the one that the stupid Pinkett's name with the stupid
off
constantly. What a stupid name! Oh my God.
So yeah, it took me a while to figure that out, but I've got it figured out. So okay, Cuda's 3-1. Now they did lose to the Bulls. They also beat the Scorpions. Improved squad this season?
I mean, they play well together. I mean, they played together for 8 seasons now?
Yeah,
maybe more. They play well together. They just don't have enough talent to. They got good for 2 seasons where they could compete. But Tony and Casey's a nice. If Tony and Casey get hot, they can space the floor and kind of open things up for Matt. So they can beat most teams, any given night. But it's going to be really hard for them to string together multiple games.
Blazers lose their first game of the season. Not a single player, including defending MVP Jake Gave, scored in double figures. They lose 48-38 to the Free Ballers. I assume did stats for this game. Talk about it.
Free Ballers were impressive. They won loose balls. They were active on defense. They did a really good job shutting down Jake tonight. I even mentioned it to Jacob. I think that was your worst statistical game I've ever seen. He was quiet. Zip did a great job. Adam took him for a bit. Also did a phenomenal job on him. It's almost like Adam was much shorter than him, and he was just closer to the ball. So, Jake, we kind of know Jake's move. He's got that one move that he likes. That's how he gets in the paint. And players that played with him for a while, especially the Fridley guys up here, they'd know what he does. So it was really hard for him to get in a rhythm. Every time he put the ball down and did a spin, there was 2-3 guys surrounding him, and he just had a tough time getting going.
Is it safe to say Fob 5 has finally meshed?
Yeah, that first week was rough. I mean, if you look at losing to the Supersonics by 30, and now
they haven't won a game yet.
And Supersonics got crushed by Green Arrow, and they got crushed. I mean, I don't know. That's parity at its finest right there. But yeah,
we're gonna remember that at the seating committee meeting.
Yeah. Fob has played. That first game it's almost like we didn't know each other. And now, the last 2 weeks was even without Dustin. So I think we're gonna be good with Dustin. I mean that goes without saying.
Okay, Chris Maher. I want to talk a little bit about him because he statistically is crushing. He has been for a couple of seasons now. Is Chris?
Seasons, like a couple decades.
A couple decades, sure. Is he the greatest player in Minnesota Rec history?
He's up there. I mean, if you look at the greatest players in Rec history, people are gonna throw Marcus in there. They're gonna throw Chris in there. They're gonna throw Rod in there, and they're gonna throw Jansen in there. DuPont. That would be probably the 5. In terms of legacies, maybe like a Noe. He's won a lot of championships. Ryan Samuelson's up there. A lot of the Celtics guys. I'd say you can make an argument for about 6-7 guys.
Pick one.
Jansen. He's got the most titles. He's got the best record. We saw his record was obnoxious. He won 83% of his games.
We thought it wasn't even right.
Yeah, I mean, he's been the most successful. He's obviously not the most talented. Probably not even in the top 100 in terms of pure talent. But if you're saying you give me one offensive. Chris is the best offensive player in Rec history. He could
better than Marcus.
Yes, I mean Chris does not have a bad game. Marcus has had bad games.
Do you remember the 3-on-3 tournament, the diaper one, when yours truly Ryan Jansen and Will Chalfant won. I'm telling you, Ryan Jansen, he's just like,
I know.
he just wills his team to victory.
Do you have a Ryan Jansen poster? Like, do you have it like on
above my bed?
And just look up and he puts you to sleep every night?
No comment.
Okay.
But I was thinking about this today. Is it time that we start to explore a Minnesota Rec Hall of Fame?
Absolutely. I think it would be awesome.
So we get a committee together.
Yep.
Sort of like baseball and football does, and we vote, and you have to have a certain amount of, but we'd have to get neutral parties because a lot of the people we'd look to be as voters would also be candidates.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful.
So here's the question: would a guy like Johnny Webb ever be eligible because he's been suspended maybe 2 or 3 times?
I think he'd be eligible.
Okay.
And I think we'd only do it once a year. We do it once a year. We let people in and.
Yeah, that's what they do. I mean, it's obviously rough, but how many guys would you let in every year?
I'd want it to be few. I don't want to let in 12, 13 guys. Less than
5 guys.
Honestly, I'd like to start with 2 or 3. 2 or 3 each year.
Okay.
Because, once we get to year 4, it's going to be like, okay, now we've got 14 guys in there. Is there anybody deserving? And then we might have some years where we don't let anybody in.
Yeah. I think that's cool. I think it'd be a great touch.
Bronze statues.
You guys are making good money.
Plastic statues.
Yeah, there you go. That's better. You didn't mention the Squires. You look at their box score yesterday?
They won.
Yeah, they crushed.
They beat the Red Devils.
Crushed. And every single one of their players made a 3. Every single one of them was over.
Hamill?
Made a 3. Besides
Springer?
Made a 3.
Porter?
Porter was
Port?
They all shot 50% or better besides Bo, and he was like 6 of 13. I think he shot 42%. As a team, I think they were 65%. Similar to the Green Arrow performance.
I was going to ask you if this was the year Squires get to the Gold Cup, but I know exactly what you're going to say, so I don't want to ask.
They're a really good team. They play together. They play really well together, and they got great chemistry. They just can't put together 4 games in the playoffs. Same story. Right? That's not what happened. That's what happened.
I just knew that's what you were going to say.
Well, you keep asking me that question every season. Nothing's changed. They got the same fucking team.
I didn't ask you it tonight.
I know. But I like the Squires. I like watching their basketball. They play good basketball, and they got every single one of those players is good. They just don't have enough to win for whatever reason.
Your first ballot Hall of Fame, you get 3 votes. Minnesota Rec. Who goes on it?
Ryan Samuelson, Ryan Jansen, and Dustin DuPont.
I like it. I like it a lot.
All 3 Rebels. But, I think those 3 guys get over a guy like Chris and a guy like Marcus. Well, Chris, because all 3 of those guys have more championships. Ryan Samuelson's the leading scorer of all time in rec. Dustin DuPont, I think he leads in assist. Not assist. I think he's got him, but he leads in steals, and he's second in wins. And then you look at Jansen, who's first overall in wins all time in UH.
I think the debates could be so much fun because someone could say, well, what about Maher? And be like, well, he only has 2 Gold Cups.
He's got 3.
Oh, because he has one of the Avengers.
And 2 with the Gorillas.
Forgot
So I think that's what kind of sets him back. He doesn't have as much hardware, and if you think back, his career started later than all 3 of those guys. I think he started in like 09, maybe 09, and Dustin, Ryan, and Samuelson I think started in 07 when the league got kicked off, basically.
So if you want to be on the Minnesota Rec Hall of Fame committee, you can Facebook friend Ahmed Helmi. He will be the president of the committee. I'm just putting it out there for him.
Does he know this?
I told him about it, and he said it was a good idea, so I took that as a yes. So okay. He's going to lead the charge.
Okay.
Thanks, Ahmed.
Yeah.
We'll see what he says. All right, we'll see everyone next week. Again, registration for the national tournament opens Sunday night, midnight.
Sign up.
See you then.